All right, so once you've put all your reps in on recall, right? You've done your low level work. You've moved on to maybe NCS, non-compliant stim, and then you moved on to punisher mode. You've done all this, I hope, on a short line and a long line. Now it's ready to like take the training wheels off. You know, now it's time to see if all your hard work has really paid off. Now, before we get to taking the dog off leash in an environment where, you know, the sky's the limit, they could head for the hills if they wanted to, you'll want to make sure that you're working the dog off of a leash in a garage, in a basement, in a fenced-in backyard. If you don't have any of those things, maybe you go to the park, you work in a tennis court, something like that. Because the dog's not an idiot. They know when the leash is not on their neck.
They sure do.
Yeah. So when the leash comes off, they're well aware that you have no real control over them. However, if you properly done all of your e-collar layering and training and put lots and lots of reps in, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter because the remote collar becomes an invisible leash
All right.
to the dog.
I like it.
So what we're going to do is we are going to first take the leash off of the dog, and we are going to start with the dog in a holding command such as a downstay. Now, why am I doing this? Well, the first time that the dog comes off of a leash, when the sky's the limit and they could go anywhere, right? And we're not in a garage, we're not in the basement, we're not in the
But we have a lot of buffer.
We do have a lot of buffer, but not everybody's going to have this much buffer, right? And so the first time that you take your dog off leash, I want you to have the dog in a holding command, such as a downstay, and then you call the dog to you from a downstay. Now, why am I doing this? Because we're keeping a level of control with the dog. We're not just letting them up with a break, and then all of a sudden they're running around going like, holy crap, now this is freedom, you know? I don't want that right off the rip. Good girl. Down. Yep, good girl. No, down. So, no tricks or anything like that. She's laying on it, so, but no tricks. I'm going to put the remote in my pocket just so nobody's confused. I'm not pressing any buttons at this point. All the training is done. If you see me pull the remote out of my pocket, it's because I have to give the dog a correction for non-compliance. Otherwise, what you're seeing is a true voice control happening, where the dog is simply just listening. Paisley, come. Good girl. Sit. Good job. That's a good girl. Down. Good job. Do various distance. When you first start, you take the leash off, do shorter distances. Again, because the first few reps, the dog kind of goes like, oh, leash is off. Right? And then you do another, and they're like, they become more and more like aware that the leash is off. So don't start this by doing a downstay 50 feet away. Start this doing fairly close. Paisley, come. Good. Sit. Good job. Yes, that's a good girl. Yes, it is. When the dog comes, they should be patterned to come, sit, and hang out and wait to be released. So Paisley knows she can't just come, high-five me, and keep going. She needs to, I called the dog for a reason, right? So always remember that. You called the dog for a reason. They need to come and check in with you. Down. That's a good girl. Always, especially in the teaching phases, always vary your time out in front of the dog. You know, switch it up. Don't make it so patterned. Paisley, come. That's a good girl. Very good. All right. And guys, you're watching all this as it's happening. Like this dog's never been off leash outside. She's been off leash again in a garage, basement, fenced in area, but she's never been off leash. So you're watching it as it's unfolding. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling comfortable. I'm feeling confident. So now I'm going to break her. I feel good, but I mean, just because I only did 3 reps, that doesn't mean that that's a magic number. It just means that I'm feeling good. In my gut, I'm like, I know the dog's going to do well. If I didn't feel it in my gut, I wouldn't take her off leash. This dog doesn't belong to me. So, you know, I certainly want her to be safe. So I'm feeling confident. So I'm going to tell her, break, break. Yep, yeah, free dog. Yep. Girl. Paisley, sit. Good. Very, very, very important to keep in mind, guys, is once you start to break them, you want to break them, kind of let them get up and they get that tail wagging and they get excited, and then immediately call them back. And you're going to do that because if you give way too much freedom too quickly, then it can go to their head and they get a little bit goofy. So guys, remember, this stuff has to be worked out in stages. Like, you can't just all of a sudden plop a whole bunch of freedom in the dog's lap and not expect to maybe have a little fallout from it. Break! Break! He's gonna go out. Oh, there you go, get that freedom. Huh? Get a little pep in your step, huh? So let her get out. A little bit, relax. Come on, be a dog. Go, free dog. Paisley, come! Good girl! That's a good girl. Yeah. Yeah. Break. You like Annie. You like her too.
Not as much as Natalie.
Yeah, she loves Nana. Let her get out. Right? Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, when you implement real good leadership with these dogs, and they're like, hey, I think it's kind of cool you make my decisions for me. Because actually, contrary to popular belief, dogs love it when you make their decisions for them. This dog goes, yeah, like, I mean, the sky's the limit, but like, I kind of just like being with you, you know? So that's when you know you're really like on the right track with them as far as like leadership, right? And that happens organically too, like as far as relationship happens organically, because this dog doesn't belong to me. You know, this dog is here for a 3-week training program, you know? So training is what helps build a really good relationship.
Throw some food or something.
Hey, hey. Well, I'll tell you another reason the dog's doing this. And again, this stuff, like, everything builds, guys. Everything builds. It all matters. When we started teaching the dog recall, we kept her in a 20 to 30 foot bubble, 20 to 30 foot radius around us at all times, like on a long line. I mean, we start dogs that way. Like, just the first few days of being here, we teach the dog, stay within 20 to 30 foot of us, which is a typical long line, okay? And so this dog has been conditioned over 2.5 weeks to not get more than 20 to 30 feet away from me. So it's just like conditioning for her. We'll actually see what she does. I bet she'll come back around.
She's like, there might
She's
be
hunting for some
another
more
food
food over
morsel there. Not sure.
What is that? There we go. So here's the thing. You reward the things that you love. I love that she came back to me. When she could go be doing anything else, she's on a break. She's on her own time. And she decided, hey, I'm just going to come back and be near you. Well, I love that, right? So I got to tell the dog I love that. Well, I happen to have food on me, so I'm going to reward that. If I had a ball on me, I'd throw a ball. I'd do something, you know, or give her physical touch. So, guys, that's the basics of how we transition a dog to off leash. First of all, you're going to start with the dog in a holding command such as a down stay. You're going to put a couple reps in on that, or several if needed. All right, then you're going to break the dog, and then you're going to recall them within 10 to 12 feet of breaking them. Don't let them get too much freedom right off the rip. All right, and then build on that.